Welcome to the Baseball Bunch, where each week we get a bunch of baseball guys to talk about a bunch of baseball topics. My name is Jeff Lisey. I'm joined with my co-hosts Tyler Goodrow of Goodrow Catching and Tom Oldham with Dynamic Velocity. On our past episode, we talked about the NCAA announcement for spring eligibility for all athletes and how that relates to baseball. We had Kendall Rogers with D1Baseball.com, Kyle Peterson with ESPN, and then a trio of college baseball players with Cade Povich, Jordan Wicks, and Ryan Obrecht, and had a fantastic conversation. If you haven't listened to it, I highly encourage you, check it out. The link is on Twitter. It's on YouTube. Check it out. It's a great conversation, very informative. So that was our last talk. Tonight, I couldn't be more excited about our panel. Great group of guys, super knowledgeable group of college coaches. Again, sticking with the theme in college baseball and how this is affecting all of us. I'm going to let you guys kind of introduce yourselves, take us through who you are. Again, I'm super excited about this, but Connor, we're going to kick it to you, and we'll just kind of go down through the lineup, introduce yourselves quick, and we'll get rolling.
I'm Connor Gandossy. I'm with Creighton University. I appreciate Tyler, Tom, and Jeff for having me on. Glad to be with a bunch of talented coaches tonight and looking forward to sharing and learning from all you guys. So I'm glad to be here.
Okay.
Is that Mike? Okay. Justin Seeley, Texas A&M. Equally as excited, pumped up to see former teammates, former coaches, and some guys, only one guy without a hat, or actually two guys without a hat on. Kirk Saarloos, of course, with the great hair coming in. Excited to be here.
Well, what's up, guys? Mike Clement at Ole Miss. Just echo what those guys said. Excited to be here. Obviously, some guys on here I know really well, and some guys not so well. But excited to share some time with you guys.
Hey guys, Kirk Saarloos, TCU, same as everybody else. Really fired up. I mean, we got two SEC coaches on here. I know it just means more, so I'm super fired up to be on the same chat with those guys.
Harvell, University of Nebraska. Just echo what everybody else said, and excited to be here and excited to have an adult conversation with somebody other than my 4-year-old and 18-month-old.
Yeah, Rich Wallace from Notre Dame. Same thing, man. Just excited to have an adult conversation after the last 2.5 weeks. So.
Roland Fanning here with Oklahoma State, and echo what these guys are saying. This is better than my daughter's kindergarten Zoom, so looking forward to it.
Rich Dorman, Oregon State. We're excited to see Tom Oldham. Haven't seen him in a while, and excited to get to know more of the coaches and break down what we got going on right now. So looking forward to this. It's gonna be fun.
Rich, I just remember when you would sit on the end of my hotel bed and teach me how to pitch.
Yeah, right.
I remember.
You were the pitching guy. Come on.
Awesome. Well, guys, we've heard a lot of different stories already about how teams have, got the news about the season being canceled, and we've heard that some teams were on a bus en route to their destination where their next weekend was going to be. I heard a team was taking BP when they found out, and literally just stopped BP and packed up and left town. Any stories, I guess, from the panel here on how you guys found out, when you found out the college season was getting canceled, and even how you broke it to your guys? And obviously that's not an easy conversation. Just curious if anybody has anything unique or different, how you found out and what you told your guys.
Well, I'll jump in here. Mine's kind of unique. I was down in Arizona. We're playing U of A, opening up our Pac-12 play, and I had gone down to Arizona to do a recruiting on a Tuesday, and so I was excited, waiting for the team to get down there. And Thursday, our team literally was on the plane on the tarmac, and then they came over like, Oregon State baseball, you need to get off the plane. And then so they let our guys off the plane because they didn't quite shut the doors. They went to baggage and grabbed their bags, and I was talking to Coach Ken. I'm like, man, where you guys at? And they're like, oh, we're not coming. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to, I'm down here in Arizona. What the heck am I supposed to do? You guys are all quarantined up. And I'm like, so anyway, I got on the first flight back to Portland. And so that was kind of how I found out and how our team found out.
We were actually coming back from Minnesota, and we were on the bus, and we were watching the Big East basketball game. Creighton was about to tip off in like 10 minutes, and so we had it live on the bus, and we're getting all these updates on Twitter, like the ACC canceled their tournament, Big Ten canceled their tournament, Big 12 canceled the tournament, SEC, so on and so forth. And like they tip off, which was crazy. It was wild to watch and have the only sporting event in the country. So we get back to campus. It was kind of a tough 2 midweek games for our guys. So we kind of broke down the series and just told them, like, hey, kind of go back, get in the weight room. And then we were going to have another meeting after the weight room. And as we go to the office to put away all our paperwork, we get the tweets and everything like that. The season's been canceled. So we're kind of sitting in the office, just stunned and shocked. And we actually pulled the team out of the weight room and brought them back, to the indoor facility to break the news to them. So it was really difficult. There was a lot of emotional guys in there and a lot of uncertainty, but it was definitely one of the hardest meetings I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, we were probably very similar to that. We had 2 midweek games on the road. We were down in Monroe, Louisiana, and on the bus coming back. The really hard part from a coaching standpoint is it's all happening in real time. So our guys are finding out information before we do or at the same time that we do. And so, it went from in a 24 or 30-hour span of we're supposed to open up SEC play and play LSU at home that weekend, and we're on the bus ride home on Wednesday night, and we tell our guys, hey, we're going to play still, but it's going to be in an empty stadium, no fans. The next day we practice, and now the season has been pushed back, and we're not going to play until the 1st of April or whatever it was. And then they go lift after that practice, and then we pull them into the team meeting room, and, hey, the season's basically over. And so that's the hard part. You always have answers as a coach, and we had no answers for them. So, at the end of the season, we've all had emotional meetings and all of that, but you can always sleep at night because the season is over because you lost. You had some say in how it ended, but really to have some meetings with some older guys, some draft guys that won't be back, and it's through no fault of their own. The season's just over. You don't really have answers for them. So, like Connor said, just really emotional and tough because as a coach, you're paid to have answers, and you just didn't have any answers.
That was the biggest thing with our guys was we were getting ready to get on a bus to go to Wichita State, the weekend series there. And we had kind of been following everything with the basketball tournaments and all that. So we kind of had an idea maybe there was a chance we weren't going to get on the bus, and just kind of following the news. And we called the team in about 2 hours before we were getting ready to go, and told them, yeah, we're not going. The trip is canceled. And that was kind of like what Mike was saying, that they, we open it up for questions or whatever they might have or wanted to know, and about the only answer we could give to them, and every answer to every question was just, we'll find out and let you know. And you could just see it on their faces, the frustration that they had, just the uncertainty and those things. And we mirrored that, because we didn't know, but like I said, like it's all happening in real time, and you just you don't have the answers that you want. You don't have the direction that you want to give them. You just have to tell them to kind of sit around and wait till we know more. And the guys that are used to getting after it every day and waking up and working out, and they're on a set routine and they have structure in the schedule, it's tough for them to break from that.
Yeah, my situation was similar to Rick, on the road recruiting our guys at the end of spring break. Our guys were getting ready to go practice at Louisville. I was on the road, high school game. Had a text from Coach Jarrett, and if any of you guys know Coach Jarrett, it's very direct, no nonsense text. And my text was, "You must go home now." So then backed all this stuff up, got in the car, started driving back to Notre Dame. By the time I got there, our guys had already been back. The university had already flown them home. So just phone calls with our guys was all we got to do pretty much to end the year. And we never had any meetings or anything like that. So they were in a hurry to get them home.
Yeah, we were actually on the field. We were actually practicing when it all came down. And like everybody else said, it's kind of, you're not really ready to tell the guys, the news, just because they didn't have their phones, and so they didn't have any idea, and they had a kind of a lot of guys went through a lot of different emotions. There's a bunch of guys that are mad, some guys cried. We have 7 seniors, just like probably a lot of you guys do too, and they just kind of were looking at each other. Well, now what? And as coaches, it's kind of like, well, like you said, we don't have the answers. We're going through it, real time, just like you are. And, it was an experience I never thought, any of us probably ever thought that we'd have to go through. But it was one that I think we'll always remember in terms of, this year's 2020 season. You look back on it 15, 20 years from now, and, it's going to be memorable for reasons that we weren't really probably expecting.
Yeah, for us, we were practicing. We're supposed to play Fresno State, and they had 4. They were trying to get their team to Stillwater in 4 different planes. So 2 of them had landed, I think, in Dallas. 2 of them were still stuck in California. So we got our game canceled. By the time practice started, the weekend was canceled. During practice, March Madness got canceled, and by the end of the day, we read it on Twitter and kind of had to call an emergency meeting, just kind of give the guys what we knew, which was really nothing because we didn't know what was going on really at the time. But we just got done with the practice and was kind of hanging out, and we just read it on Twitter. It's kind of like the guys are saying, we had some seniors literally breaking down in the dugout like, our season's over and we don't have a chance for what? It's just like, what's next? And really not knowing what to tell them was just kind of like a look at them and, hey, man, let's just wait this thing out, see what happens. And then obviously different news came out later on. But at the time, it was just kind of a weird silence. It's like you didn't really know what to say.
I think so. Wednesday afternoon, we're out on the practice field and you figure out, all right, we're not going to play, or we're going to play, but we're not going to play with fans in the stands. And then, I think Wednesday night, I think they canceled the NBA season. And I think in your heart, you probably know, or you're in your head, this thing's done. Like, we're not playing this weekend. But in your heart, you always want to try and be optimistic. And so we go through the morning, packed up, ready to go to Auburn on Thursday morning. And start getting some phone calls from, our higher ups basically saying, hey, you guys sit tight, don't get on the plane, wait it out. And as soon as you start getting those phone calls, you start going, well, the likelihood of us going is not very good. Get the news that we're not going. So we go meet with our guys and basically go, all right, look, we're going to treat this like a 3-game series. We're going to practice Friday, Saturday, we're going to scrimmage Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Just trying to be optimistic about the situation. And our guys are like, you can see a couple of them nodding their head and you can see a couple of them with kind of a blank stare. And then I think probably a couple hours later, we had, probably 4 or 5 of our guys that are, our older guys on our team basically walk in and go, we ain't going to get anything done this weekend. Like, this is foolish to go ahead and go practice. And then I think at that point, it's kind of a sobering moment where you're just like, this isn't going to happen now. The likelihood of it happening, they have enough awareness and probably enough social media savvy to know this is not going to go off. And so we haven't even got to meet with our team past that. I mean, they all took off at that time. And so, we haven't even been able to look at our guys face to face, eye to eye, to be able to kind of give them information. So we're doing it all through our phones right now, which is that's the frustrating part, not being able to look at them in the eye. And, you're the grown up in the situation, right? We're the people they're supposed to look to, and we can't look them eye to eye and tell them, what's going on. So I think that's the most frustrating thing for us at the moment.
So has anybody been able to talk to the team at all face to face?
It's all FaceTime and Zoom meetings for us.
We actually did. We actually got to tell all of our guys, like, kind of not really. Actually, we set up like a last team meeting. Our our athletic director and our compliance people came down and spoke to our team and before we got them out of town, which was kind of neat. Like, we actually got that experience. Our guys took the home series and we were already there, so our guys just stayed, thinking everybody else optimistically we would have a chance to maybe play. So they kind of stuck around, and then we kind of got word we were out. We had kind of a final team meeting, like, hey, look, here's kind of the ABCs of what they want you to do. If you want to go home, let us know. If you're going to stay, let us know. If you stay, here's what they want you to do if you stay in town. If you leave, this is what you should do when you go home. And then everybody kind of got out. But we actually got that. It was actually kind of, after talking to some of our friends in the game, we're kind of the rare team to get that, I guess. But we actually had that.
So I know a lot of you guys had talked about just the player emotions alone. I'm curious about your emotions when you had a couple days to digest what was actually going on, and then you're waking up the next morning to realize, well, I'm not going to practice. I'm not scheduling something. I'm not going to do early work with a hitter or something like that. So I'm just curious about your own internal emotions and what, I mean, some of you guys, I'm sure, were extremely close with some of those seniors and the guys that are new at their programs. Like Rich, I know you're new at Notre Dame, and Lance, you're new at Nebraska. What was that like, going in and seeing that you were going to be with some of those guys for just one solid year, and then you turn around and season just is over? So just curious about your guys' own emotions itself.
Yeah, I think, obviously going into a year, you're hoping you get to grow that relationship with those guys, because you got a very short time, especially with the fall being shorter and the recruiting part of it. And then for us, we were basically 12 games in, just started the league, starting to understand those kids at a whole nother level. And then it's pretty much, like we said, it's FaceTime and text message and just phone calls, trying to keep that relationship going and being there for them. It didn't really hit me probably until a week after, when I'm sitting home with absolutely nothing to do, and bored out of my mind, and can't believe I'm doing this, because all of us have never had this before. It's just something we've never dealt with at this point, and most of us never have vacation this long. So
kind of a similar thing. I was probably, disappointment would probably be the one word I would put on it. Not in the situation or anything like that, but for the players. As Justin kind of mentioned before, as the adult in the situation, you have a little bit more perspective on everything than probably the players do. So that can kind of play in for you from the get-go, but it doesn't change the disappointment when you see it on their faces and things like that. Especially with the question marks at the time, the questions that were still hanging out there, not knowing if this was the end of their career, much less just the end of the season. But you feel like you just kind of, all the work that went into it from the fall and the work that they did on their own over the winter break, and then you're just able to kind of wet your beak a little bit into the season and kind of get going, and you're starting to figure some things out, and then it just is kind of taken from you. And I think we all probably have that message to our players is, don't take anything for granted. Don't take a day for granted. Probably in our minds, we're thinking in terms of an injury or something like that. Nobody could, see this coming, but that's kind of one of those life lessons. As hard as it is to take, the way that this kind of came on was, but it gave them probably quite a bit of perspective as far as realizing, like, hey, you never know what can happen ever. And so the disappointment, though, for the guys was probably the biggest thing that I felt in the moment.
Yeah, probably for me, it was more of kind of like an empty feeling, kind of a deal where, I think we all spend a ton of time, not just on the baseball field, but away from the baseball field, trying to grow these relationships and trying to have, the team aspect of it. When you see all your fruits of your labor from fall and then into the spring, and then the season starting, and, going on the road and being with each other on the road and in a hotel, and, watching these guys compete. I mean, that's why we do it, right? We do it because we love baseball, and we love to be around 18 to 21-year-old kids that are figuring life out. And, this is the best part of the year, is where we get to see all that hard work kind of come to fruition, and we just kind of let them go. and let them get after it on the baseball field. And for all that kind of hard work, we're never going to have the same team again, the same guys on the team, the same 35 guys on the team. Next year it's going to be different, and to see, kind of that not being able to see where that team may have been or may have gotten to at the end of the year, for me, it was a super empty feeling, and I think, a lot of the players felt the same way. It's college baseball is the best baseball, I think, that you can play. I think that's why we're all doing it, right? Professional baseball is awesome, but there's nothing like college baseball. Just the camaraderie and the relationships that you build, and not being able to see kind of where that ends up at the end of the year in May and June, kind of left me with an empty feeling.
Yeah, I think I'm right on with Los. Empty, sad. I think it was selfishly that more than anything. Just like Los said, we will never have this team back together again. Even with them granting everyone another year eligibility, it's just not going to happen to where you get that same, however many guys you have on your club, you're not going to have those same guys again. And so I think sad is the emotion for me, just selfishly, to be able to be with those guys that you've built relationships with, that they won't be around. Whether it's a guy that's a draft guy who's not coming back to school, or a senior who decides to graduate and move on into the real world, as it were. But yeah, I think sad is the real emotion for me.
Yeah, Clem, I agree with you. I think sad's definitely a good word. We had a kid the year before, ended up having a season-ending injury, and then rehabbed all summer, stayed here. And then just to see his face when we broke the news to him, in that moment, it was like helpless. You didn't know what to do. And there's nothing that you could say in that moment that would say, hey, man, everything's going to be okay. Like everything you just went through to get back to this year, to have a great, fifth year. I mean, there's nothing to tell him. And so in that moment, it was really, really difficult. And then, like everybody's saying, the hard work that we put in, and then what we ask of these guys on a day in and day out basis of making sure they're staying on top of their academics, putting in the work in the weight room, putting in the work on the field and in the cage or on the mound, and then just have that ripped away from them to nobody's fault. It was just a whirlwind of emotions. And then selfishly, from my part, you wake up 3 days later and you're like, what the hell do I do now? I can't go out and travel. I can't go recruit. And there's no end in sight. And so you try to find things to better yourself on, whether it's leadership or baseball knowledge or whatever it may be. But there's still that feeling, and you look out there and there's really not a whole lot you can do right now. And you can stay in contact with your guys and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do academically. But it just feels like there's no end in sight, to get out of this thing and to help our guys out. It just feels like a helpless feeling.
Yeah, Connor, you talk about some of those seniors, some of those experiences. Have you guys talked to any of the seniors? And obviously you don't have to get specific with names or anything, but just what, the fact that the NCAA came out with that ruling last week, what are guys thinking? What are you guys thinking as coaches? Talk a little bit about that.
So in our situation, we had 7 seniors and 5 of them want to come back. One of them said the only way he's coming back unless he wins the lottery, go out in the business world and start his life, which we understand. And then the other one's going into the medical field, which we need more people than ever. So, we respect his decision, but we've been lucky where the school's going to help us. And we have a situation with our roster where we'll be able to make it work. But we're 5 out of 7 right now with our guys, and they're excited and they're ready to get going. Barring anything with, signing free agencies, whatever it may be.
What about some of the other guys? Have you talked to your seniors?
Yeah, we have 7 guys right now, and I think we have 6 guys that are 100% in. We have another one that is trying to figure out maybe what his next step is, if he's going to go to grad school and not play any more baseball. We're trying to figure things out right now, but we have 6 seniors that as soon as they found out that they could come back and play another year, it was a no-brainer. So we usually have quite a bit of seniors on our rosters, and for those guys to be able to come back and play again. Luckily enough, our administration and chancellor and athletic director, have, like probably a lot of you other guys, has been able to step up to the plate and make sure that they take care of those guys and honor their scholarships from this year.
Yeah, fortunately for us, we didn't have a very deep senior class. We had three seniors, Jake Mulholland, Army, and Preston Jones. So I know those three guys are, they're eager to come back and play, and I know that we've already taken them on and are going to bring them back. The cool thing for me with the NCAA wasn't so much seniors was a big impact. I feel another huge impact was those draftable juniors, who all of a sudden would have lost all leverage if the NCAA didn't grant everyone another year, especially with the draft only being 5 rounds. I mean, that would have got really tricky. So, I'm happy with how things kind of shook out with that and give those guys an opportunity to come back. I was just hoping that maybe upperclassmen would have got their years back, and sophomores and freshmen, you got enough time to recover from it. But, the fact they granted everyone those year back is pretty cool. And I think we'll be feeling the repercussions of this for a few years. But I think all in all, giving those guys a chance and an opportunity to come back has been huge.
I think for the first time, maybe, I guess in the back of my mind, this is one of the first times I felt like the NCAA completely over-delivered. Like, this was the first great news that we got since we had to tell our guys that we're not going to go play, and we had to feel that emotion. So we got some great news with that. And so, I've known not Hunter Melton, but I've known Hunter Coleman since he was a sophomore in high school. So we're now talking about like a 7-8 year relationship that we've had. And so to be able to get to call him and talk to him and be like, hey man, like, we're going to get another shot at this. What do you want to do? And him to be able to go, yeah, I'm going to grad school. I'm coming back. Like, I'm going to be able to get my degree. We're going to be able to do something about it to help him. Like, I mean, just, for everything that we've gone through, I think just as a, globally and as a country, like, to be able to give that news, I mean, that's a pretty awesome thing to do. I felt like, and for our, the seniors, we don't have very many of them, but the ones that we do, for them to have that option, and then all the other guys to gain back their leverage. And I also think, from the draft standpoint, I think that might've been part of the question. I think this thing is all going to rectify itself within a year, because these guys are all, even the sophomores, are going to be draft eligible.
Yeah.
So I think this is all, like, we may all have, somewhere between, 2 to 5 guys go this year, something like that. But I think what's going to end up happening is we're all going to have, like, somewhere between 10 to 15 go next year is what's going to happen. And so, especially at the programs of the guys that are here. So I think a lot of this is going to get rectified in a shorter time than most people believe.
Is there talk of the draft going to – sorry, Jeff. Is there a draft that talk next year is going to be 20 rounds? I heard too.
Yeah,
we'll say I make it tough.
What I think is going to happen, I don't think it's a done deal that it's only 5 rounds this year. I think that there's still – it's going to be 10. It's going to be 10 depending on the health of the country. And I think the president talked to all the commissioners and that kind of stuff, I guess yesterday. But I think that depends on the health of the country. And I think that's why they have the draft in July this year, and then it's going to be 20 rounds. So, and I think that's what Major League Baseball – Mike and I kind of tried to get involved here, like right before the CBA got done, Clem. And I think that this is how it's going to be moving forward. It's going to be more towards a 20 round, because I think Major League Baseball would like to do away with some, some of their, I guess, lower level affiliates.
So how do you guys handle, I mean, I assume there's a roster management issue kind of coming up here, right? I mean, you've got fewer guys getting drafted. Everybody's getting a year back, which, like you said, I mean, that's a great thing for you guys. But I mean, as a coach and you're kind of planning ahead and you know certain guys are going to get drafted and certain guys are probably going to sign early and leave early. And now everybody's coming back. If it ends up being 5 rounds this year and shortens draft next year, there's got to be some roster management issues or concerns, right? I mean, how are you guys handling that?
Well, I'll start. I mean, that's our job. I mean, that's what we get paid to do. We get paid to, to help make decisions for everybody, and that, they're not always the fun decision, but we get to make a lot of fun decisions too. So, yeah, there's going to be some things that are involved, but I think just giving the seniors relief, number one, that starts it. And this is not done. This is not a done deal where these are the rules and this is how this is going to go dead set. I know, our commissioner, Greg Sankey, like I've been on calls with him where there's still ongoing talks where the chance of maybe having junior relief is in there for guys that are draft eligible. They still got to go over APR. And I know I'm starting to get into some details that maybe not, everybody outside of this box would understand, but just to kind of answer your question, this is a long way from being done. It's a long way from these being the rules that we're going by. These are the rules we're going by currently right now.
The biggest roster management.
Yeah, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Jeff, I just echo what Justin said. Our job, like to answer your direct question, our job is roster management every year. And so in a very strange way, it's almost business as usual. And for us, everybody's in a little different boat, but we had 4 seniors and, so I guess there's a little bit of management that comes in because your current freshman class in the 2020 and you have your class of 2020 seniors in high school that are also be freshmen. But really it kind of works itself out. The guys who are the draft guys are still going to be the draft guys when they're eligible. And I think it's like Justin said, it's what we do. And so I think from the outside, it probably looks like, oh man, they're going to have to really, fire a bunch of guys and have a lot of movement. I think it's kind of what we do. I don't think it'll be as big and as many moving parts on everybody's roster as what everybody thinks, just looking at it on paper.
Yeah, I was going to say a while ago, I think you guys are making some good points. I think the biggest roster management we can all do is be the biggest academic coordinators for our staff as we can, because these guys don't graduate or take care of all these online classes or new online classes or Zoom classes, whatever they're having to do. Then, the roster is going to be interesting anyways. But for us, we're just trying to figure out the best scenario for these guys to finish these semesters with, good GPAs and graduation and everything else. We have guys like you guys trying to figure out graduation, come back, not. But I think for us, if we can get these guys to get their academics done as a whole, then we have a chance to figure out our roster whenever that time comes. But I do agree with Sealy. I thought he made a good point. It's not over at all. It's not. I think what the rules are right now are going to be different in about 30 days, if not sooner. I do want to throw this question out there, see if you guys have heard anything about a one-time transfer. I've heard that a little bit. Is that something?
Passed yet?
Yeah, I think that's going to get passed, and that's what I've been hearing is, just because of the landscape has changed, right?
Right.
And I think there's a lot of places that there's going to be some places that don't honor the senior scholarship, right? And then all of a sudden, what do those guys do? So I think from what I've been hearing is that there is going to be that one-time transfer that's going to get passed, and mainly because of that. All of a sudden, a kid that scholarship last year, maybe the school doesn't honor the scholarship for his additional senior year. You're just kind of kicking that guy to the curb. I think that one-time transfer, I think, is going to pass, is from what I've heard.
I saw today on Twitter the Evan Daniels guy that does all the college basketball stuff. He tweeted out that it would get passed, and it's getting a lot of heat, a lot of steam. And I talked to another buddy that's a coach today. He mentioned the same thing, which I think will help. I think it helps a lot of kids, and I think it gives them the freedom and the accountability. It might hurt some schools like my school, but it might help in other ways as well, because other people might want to transfer in. But I think they do need to have some accountability and some freedom of their own if it's not going to work out, or they're not going to be promised, what they were promised, they have the ability to go and see something else. But the whole situation is really fluid. It's changing pretty much every single day, what we're hearing and what we can do and can't do. But, like everybody's saying, as long as it's not crazy roster numbers, it's stuff that we deal with on a year in, year out basis. So it's just a matter of open lines of communication and making sure everybody's on the same page with what's expected going forward.
You guys think, will there be more freshmen that redshirt next year because of this?
Potentially. I think potentially. Never know, though. I mean, that's to be determined in the fall. I mean, that's the fun part about being competitive, and I think players embrace that. And I think right now it's hard to, at least from our perspective, we're not going to tell freshmen, hey, we're going to redshirt you because we got these guys back. I mean, I think it's going to make it's better for the game of baseball and make it competitive, and I think if you're a competitor, you're going to enjoy that. So.
And I don't think redshirting as a freshman is a terrible thing. You look back to the basketball days of, I was a Southern California guy where my dad went to UCLA, and back in the day, Bill Walton, Lou Alcindor, they couldn't play as freshmen, right? They had to redshirt. Very rarely do you have a guy walk on campus and insert himself right into an everyday lineup or into a rotation. I think that's what everybody wants. But a lot of times, man, it's a huge jump from high school to college baseball. And, to be able to navigate academics, social life, baseball for 1 year where you're not maybe playing I think is not a terrible thing. It's obviously we want all of our freshmen to walk in and they want to be a dude and be a freshman All-American. But that's just not the way it happened. So will there be more freshmen redshirting? Probably. Is it a bad thing? I don't think it is. I think it's a great thing, actually.
Yeah. So we are going live on Twitter right now, and we got a question here from Scott Stolick, longtime fan, first-time listener. Athletic budget-wise, are all of your schools willing to foot the bill to bring back your seniors?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Yes. Ours is.
Yes. And
our chancellor actually even it's going to come out of the school's budget, not the athletic budget, which is amazing. Our chancellor stepped up and didn't even put it on athletics, just put it on TCU's bill. And I think it says a lot about our chancellor and TCU.
That's great.
Thanks for the question, Scott.
I want to switch. Go ahead,
Tyler.
I was just going to say, I just want to switch gears maybe a little bit here and go back to the recruiting aspect. So I was on a call not too long ago with the Northeast supervisor for the Boston Red Sox, and he said, everything got completely shut down from MLB perspective. They couldn't go out and scout, but they had people that were in a large video log. From your guys' perspective, and Connor, I know you had said earlier, it's like, what can we do? We can't go out and recruit. What are you guys doing? Are you able to go out, not obviously not go out, but are you able to receive videos? Are you requesting from people? Can you now expand your emailing reach now that this is going on? What are the restrictions that the NCAA has put on you guys?
Me personally, right now, I'm on the portal and Synergy pretty much all day. So I'd imagine a lot of people are like that in this chat right now, but so we're doing that, PBR, email. Yeah, I mean, we're doing all of it. I just meant from a going out perspective.
Right, I know. Yeah.
And go see people in person. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm in the front office right now on my computer all the time watching Synergy video.
Yeah, I think the NCAA came out with till May 31st now. We can't go out and see any recruit visits, unofficial visits. So it's a lot of, checking the inbox, watching a ton of video, spending more time on the phone than I probably would, just because, reaching out to current players, recruits, guys that are coming in next year, so I think from that perspective, we're not preparing, trying to figure out, how to beat Oklahoma State this weekend. We're basically just on the computer and recruiting that way, and got to fill your day somehow with some sort of baseball, but yeah, it's mostly just emails and videos and searching the internet and playing golf every once in a while, maybe.
Do you think there's summer baseball to watch?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think I agree. I don't think there's any shot.
If they're talking about pushing the college football season back or worrying about that thing starting in August and September, I just don't see how any sort of organized baseball is going to take place this summer.
Even at like a regional level or something, more local where there's not a lot of travel involved.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. So I think the only chance we have is it going to be like a much more regional thing, like the days of kids getting on flights, us getting on flights this summer. I don't see that. I have a hard, like today being April 5th, like I have a hard time seeing that just where we're at, from a health standpoint. I think that would be the best case scenario. The only thing that summer baseball has going for it is you're not going to have, I don't think, it's not going to be in stadiums like what we play in. It's not going to be in stadiums like what Major League Baseball plays in. So if the health of the country can get a lot better, I think there's a chance for some regional type stuff. But us all flocking to Atlanta and meeting up there, like the chances of that happening, like Mike's going to be able to because it's a drive for him. But everybody else, I think it's going to be a lot more regionally based if we do anything this summer. And, that brings up the next question about our guys. Like, what are we going to do with our guys because of summer ball? And then on top of that, like if they can't go play summer ball, the next question you got to go ask the NCAA and our athletic departments is, can our players come back to campus if they're taking class? Can we start doing things with them during the summer, which we are not allowed to do in the current state of baseball? Maybe even go back to 4-on-1s like we used to do, something like that in small groups this summer. So, yeah, that would be, in my mind's eye, that's the way I see things working out at best.
That's what I'd like to see. Hopefully, they kind of step up and kind of we're able to work with our guys in the summer. They've already called summer school is going to be all online here, and but just getting our guys back here where we can work with them would be huge. Because otherwise, you're talking about them missing an entire spring, an entire summer, and you're getting them, in the fall, and who knows what kind of shape they're in, and you haven't had your hands on them in months. And so that was one thing I was interested in too, is kind of the progression of this thing, and the fallout of it is if some rules start to change. It maybe not long term, but maybe just for maybe at least just this year for the next 2 years.
I really hope that in the fall.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
The hard part for me to wrap my mind around is, like Justin said, the president met with the commissioners of the pro sports leagues, and it was a big deal coming out of that, at least on Twitter, that he hoped the NFL season would start on time. And people were disputing that both ways. So then you start to think about, are we going to get out in the summer and recruit? They canceled the Olympics. So, like those things don't add up to us going to watch perfect game events, or our guys being able to go out and play in Cape Cod League or the Northwoods League or Alaska or wherever. Man, that seems like a little bit of a stretch, at least at this point. You don't want to be Debbie Downer, and you hope that changes from a baseball perspective. But obviously the health of the country is far more important. I don't see it happening. So I don't know, like these guys said, if it's that we can get our guys back in the summer. We're the same as Nebraska. We've already said that we're going to do all online classes this summer. And so I don't know if they open a 45-day window in the fall to where expand that to 60 days, where they expand the outside competition rule where you can go from 2 to 8, just so you can get some innings. And all of that stuff is got to be thought about, and hopefully, it's somewhere in the works. But we got a lot of red tape to jump through and break through before we get to that point too.
And guys,
Yeah,
I have two follow-up questions on this. So first, so let's say that they do play summer ball. Will you guys go?
Yeah.
Allowed to.
I don't think we have to.
So if they do have games, you're saying that obviously the health of the country is back where it needs to be, safe to travel, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the kids are allowed to play, then we certainly going to be there.
So then
Justin can stay at home, and I'll just go out. I'll give you my notes, Justin.
So let's say, okay, so let's revert back to no summer ball. Guys get back onto campus in the fall. Do you guys hope to see any sort of like expanded fall, game format where you're playing other schools? We talked to Kyle Peterson and Kendall Rogers in the first episode, and they were talking a little bit about this. Is that something that you guys would look forward to?
For me, I think it would be awesome. I just don't think it's going to happen in terms of, because ultimately it comes down to, unless you play all those games at home, with say you do have football, but we didn't have basketball, so all the distributions in terms of the money to the athletic budgets is probably cut in half. My guess is they're not going to be real excited to foot the bill on traveling, 35, 40 guys to go play an extra 4 or 6 fall baseball games. That's just my opinion. What I would like to see is, like Mike said, is expand that. Instead of the 45-day window for official practice, let's make that 60. Let's make that 75 days. Let's make that as much as we possibly can, where we can actually be with our guys, and because they're going to lose a ton of opportunity to develop from this season and the summer. So how can we give that back to them? Well, let's give it back to them in the fall. Let's, instead of having 4-on-1, instead of having 2 hours a week, let's have full team practice for 60 days, 75 days, whatever it may be, just to give them back what they missed.
They definitely need to increase the hours for sure. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the days, yeah, that would be awesome. But like, if they expand the window 2 weeks, whatever it may be, the hours need to, I don't want to say JUCO, but they need to go, to a higher level for sure.
And you're going to have enough people on your roster probably to field 2 pretty good dang teams to inter squad on a daily basis, and enough arms, and
that's a good point,
to kind of get after it.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, again, I apologize for interrupting, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't jump over and ask some questions from the listeners. So these 2 are very similar. This is from @DPD27 or @NoFan22. Do you think there will be a trickle-down effect on recruiting at the lower levels? How will this affect your recruitment of JUCO players for the next couple of years?
I think it still stays. I mean, for us, junior college baseball is huge. I don't see that changing. I think it's a deal where you're going to continue to go to that route to plug and play. You're not going to build your program on junior college baseball, but you're definitely going to supplement it. I don't see that changing. Sorry for jumping ahead of you there.
No, you're good. I was going to say, I think that was almost kind of answered in the roster management question. Just that's kind of what we do. Looking at that and planning, for that, looking ahead down the road at future teams. And with the junior colleges, they might end up being the benefactor of all of this. They're going to get a pretty big bump in talent potentially, and so as far as recruiting the junior colleges, though, I don't think it's going to change one bit. I tend to agree that it's all going to kind of even out after a year, maybe 2. And so the junior college guys that you have coming in this year that now get an extra year, maybe you were planning on having them for 2 years. Now you get them for 3 potentially, if they make it that long. But it's still the junior colleges are so important. That's usually one of the first stops that we make is looking at those, our list of JUCO just targets and things like that. I don't think the market for junior college players is going to change.
Yeah, guys, I want to say this coming from a former Division II guy. I think the level of college baseball from Division I, Division II, NAIA, D3, junior college might be the best it's ever been the next 2 years. Scouts are going to have to cover from top to bottom because there's going to be programs that have to get the seniors don't go back to that might go to Division II school because they have room for it. Well, they're going to get to play a lot more maybe get exposure like they didn't get before. And the junior college is going to get good players, probably even more so than they've ever gotten because of the roster issues that we're going to come across here in Division I baseball. I just think college baseball in general is about to be maybe as deep as it's ever been from all levels combined. That's just my opinion.
So let's switch over to the high school ranks. I personally have talked to a few players that have had some offers and had some questions after all of this in terms of, well, has that offer changed? What does that look like? And talked to a lot of dejected seniors that are, they just lost their senior season and now they're going to be going into their freshman years where there's a lot more question marks for them in terms of, playing time and that sort of a thing. What advice do you have for the high school guys with regards to recruitment? What should they be doing right now?
Stay healthy, stay home, stay healthy. That, and I think honestly, for me, the best thing they could be doing is just continue their progression, getting stronger, continuing to throw. The one thing that's going to, in case, when this thing does hopefully pass, pass over, who's to say that we can't have camps? I mean, that's one thing I wanted to talk about earlier. That's, if they play is one thing with the tournaments, but what's going to be hurting is like our other coaches, our volunteer coaches who work really hard doing all those camps. And that's kind of that's how they live. I mean, that's the people who are impacted by this a lot too, is those, your other coaches that are volunteer and they kind of survive on that piece. Hopefully, if that happens, then I'm suggesting they go out and get exposure that way. If they can't play in team things, go to your favorite school, go to your top 5 schools, go get seen, And then I know a lot of the camps that we host, you bring in local JUCOs and whatever and they get exposure there too. So I think for them, it's just continue to progress and keep getting better. And if you want to be a great player, you want to be a Division I player, whatever it is, you want to continue to have a uniform on, then you just got to keep going. Keep working hard. It'll happen.
Yeah. What about some of the other guys? What are your thoughts?
I think if they want to play bad enough, there's somewhere for them. I think that down the road, whenever we get back to kind of some normal baseball life, the guys that have kind of taken this time to continue to work and get better and develop versus the guys that took this time to kind of feel sorry for themselves a little bit. I mean, it's a big hit. I get that. It was. I can't imagine being a high school senior and having a senior season ripped away from you. But that doesn't mean your career's over. If you want to play bad enough, you can use this as an opportunity and build a little toughness and continue to. We've kind of seen just with the information of how we all found out about this thing and just the power of technology now. We talked about everybody's kind of watching more video right now than they ever have. Feel like football coaches sometimes, but make some video and send it out, put it on social media. There's a huge platform there for guys to still get seen and get some exposure there, and maybe just at the very least just start a conversation with a coach. That's enough to kind of get your foot in the door and then kind of see. That may open some options for you. You never know. Just if we get an email, this happens quite a bit actually. We get an email and the guy sends a video and you can tell he can play a little bit whenever, and maybe you don't have an opportunity for him right then and there, but maybe you talk to a junior college coach the day before and they're looking for somebody, and there's a route there that the guy can take. But that would be my advice, was don't take this time to just sit and be idle. If you want to play bad enough, use this as an opportunity.
I think if you have the capability of working on your athleticism, getting in the weight room, and I know a lot of the weight rooms are closed, but if you have a way of getting stronger and faster during this time, I mean, it's obviously you're not going to play right now, but you still have to work on your craft and things like that. But I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think in today's game right now, we play a ton of games, and oftentimes we of getting back in the weight room or working on getting faster and working on the first step or whatever it may be. So while this sucks that the guys can't go out and play, it still gives you another avenue to continue to get better and wait for that chance. Because at some point it's going to break. And it's who's ever, been working during this time. Once you hit your ground, you got to go and get running. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time, but there's ways to get better, and there's always a place for somebody to play. So it doesn't have to be Division I. It doesn't have to be in the SEC or the Big 12. It could be Division II, Division III, NAIA, or JUCO. I mean, if you're good enough, people are going to see it. So, keep working hard is essentially the advice that I could give somebody right now.
So what are those main platforms where, you're talking about you guys are watching video more than ever? What are the main platforms that you guys are watching?
Twitter's the biggest one for me, probably.
Twitter?
Yeah, I would say, just follow the football.
Seriously?
And the way they do that stuff. The football guys are probably a little more up to date on that stuff than us. The amount of stuff they get from Huddle and the stuff that's sent to them directly. That stuff's obviously picked up over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, Twitter for me, and then just going to probably PBR and Perfect Game, and just checking out people in your backyard, checking out people around the country. I mean, nowadays it's nearly impossible. If you're a good player, you're going to get found. And those platforms are amazing to be able to go online, put a highlight reel up online, and you're going to get found. I mean, the days of a really good player from whatever. I think that's why there's so many kids going different schools out of state, is because before it used to be so much regionalized, where now it's like, if I'm in Texas and I can go to Notre Dame, where, back in the day it might be a little bit different, just because of social media and Twitter, Instagram, Perfect Game, PBR, all that stuff.
I'd add this, this is the one time in our life that actually the early recruiting has actually probably worked out. I mean, just calling a spade. I mean, most guys have figured out what they're going to do at this point, because we've all been working at it, 4 classes in advance, most of us. So I think guys have kind of figured out where they should land. Now, everybody progresses at a different speed. I do get that part of it, but I think for the most part, most people have probably got their questions answered when it comes to that. And I say this too, I know for me personally, I want to see your video, but send me somebody that can vouch for you, that has some, your high school coach or your summer coach, but somebody that has something behind their name, so that whenever we call and visit with those people, because right now I'm not going to be able to see you, so I need to be able to talk to somebody that actually is going to back you up and on the things that you do send. So if I had to tell kids one piece of advice, I would say find somebody that can be an advocate for you and that actually really knows what they're doing. You can find that person and make sure that person is able to get in touch with, guys like us.
So guys, switching gears a little bit here, we talked a little bit about football. If football does, if it gets canceled or delayed or something happens there, how does that affect baseball then? Obviously it's a big money producer. I'd have to think that's going to have some sort of trickle down effect to baseball. What do you think if something happens with the football season?
Hey, Honor, if you just want to give me a call, we can sit this question out.
Right.
Yeah, do you really want to go there, Jeff? Do you really want to go there?
Connor told me to bring this coffee mug onto the show, so that's why I'm awkwardly holding it up.
I'll wait till basketball season.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, Jeff, that's something that nobody in intercollegiate athletics wants to think about. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you are one of the few baseball schools that make money for university. If you are, you're talking about a couple $100,000, and you're talking about $50 million with the football programs for the athletic budget. In many cases, they fund every other sport. So that'd be a bad deal for everybody. I think we would all, no matter what school we're coaching at, feel the trickle down effect from TV contracts to season tickets to all of that stuff with football. So yeah, I think indirectly well, directly, and then indirectly as well from a recruiting standpoint and official visits, all of those things. You know, we'd be foolish to say that football isn't king, and that we all need it and use it.
One of the best things I've heard when I first, it kind of was a bit of a shock when I first heard it, but then talking about the potential of pushing football season back to the spring, which would then maybe push baseball season back to the summer. And at first I was like, I don't know about that, but the more I thought about it, it gives you maybe the fall and the spring to go recruit, and then your season in the summer, and that could be a possibility too. That maybe just in the short term may not be a bad option.
And any other changes you guys see coming to college baseball because of all this, either in the short term or long term?
Hope not.
Nobody knows.
Right.
Yeah, to be able to
It's
predict.
all really fluid right now.
Yeah. To be able to predict that at this moment would be, man, reaching a long way.
Just like all the players, you guys are stuck at home. What are you guys doing to fill your time other than watching Twitter?
Do you really want to know? Do you really want to know?
Yeah, everybody. I'm curious about everybody except Rich.
Rich is probably watching Tiger King, right?
Oh, worst ever.
Who said the worst ever? Who said that?
It was a
No.
wild.
It's erroneous.
Oh, bad.
It was a wild ride.
It took me on a wild ride and I was out. Yeah.
Probably
I've stayed up later than I ever have watching whatever Netflix documentary or Netflix show. You know, it's not like you got to wake up in the morning and be in the office at 8 o'clock. So it's like, well, 3 o'clock, let's watch another episode of Ozark or whatever.
And it comes on so quick. It comes on so quick, and then you're like, all right, I'll watch one more.
You're like, fine,
Yeah.
another 50
All right,
minutes.
I'll
whatever.
start it.
I don't know about you guys, but I spend a lot more time actually searching what I'm going to watch on Netflix than I do watching Netflix.
Yeah.
I actually started painting the inside of my house. That was a stupid idea. I'm like, well, I got plenty of time. I'll tell you what, I do not tape baseboards. I do not tape the ceiling. I'm not a taper. I just paint.
One wall leads to the next, leads to the next wall, leads to the next wall.
That's right. And then pressure washing the driveway. Once you start, you can't stop. Like
you
got to get to the next one. It's a terrible cycle.
Yeah.
Rich, how much running you been doing?
Little bit. Yeah, it's enough to keep you going for sure.
A little bit, like 10 to 15 miles or 15 to 20?
More 10 to 15 now.
More 10, yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, kind of slowing down a little bit. More walks.
I think on a serious note, the hard part about our profession is that you don't, even if you're on vacation, you are thinking about where you could be or where you should be. And I think the beauty of this time is that you have nowhere to be, even if you wanted to be. And so I think the macho baseball coach in you is supposed to say in a venue like this that you're miserable. But I think we can all compartmentalize. We are miserable that we're not with our team and we were having a good year, all of those things that we already know. But the fun part is being present and being a husband and being a father. As cheesy as all those things sound, it is really true. I have a 14-month-old son, and I have changed his diaper more in the last 3 weeks than I have in his entire life prior to this. So that part of it, being a husband and being a father, is awesome.
100%.
Bang.
Bang. That's only one, Roland. You need two
Right.
more.
Bang.
I'm turning my 9-year-old son into the worst baseball player on the planet.
I'm a nasty first grade math teacher right now. I'm dialed in on that. My son's learning a lot of math.
I would be the opposite of that.
Is it bad when you can't like answer the questions that they have and it's like first and second grade math, like geometry?
Go ask mom.
Like,
Go ask
what's a
mom.
numerator, denominator?
They don't do math how we used to do it.
I know.
It's not that way. And it
I
leads
know.
to a huge fight in our house. I can tell you that. like anything that you see on Twitter that you laugh at where the parent that is our house. That's right now.
As if Sealy, you didn't do math ever, I don't think.
Yeah. I knew what my BA was. Yeah, I did that math for sure.
Oh man.
You getting to see any Slade's games? He's probably not playing right now, huh?
No, I'm turning him into the worst 9-year-old baseball player right now. He's getting overcoached as much as any person on the face of the planet right now. So he's going to come out. He's going to be the guy that comes out of this worse. I can guarantee that. Poor kid.
We played a lot of living room baseball here in this house, so that is the one good thing. I'm keeping my arm in shape for BP, but it definitely is cooler getting to my 4-year-old son, kind of getting to watch him ride a bike and kind of learn how to ride a bike as opposed to just getting a video of watching him do it and watching kind of that motion. So making some of those strides, I'm sure we've all kind of said the same, given the same answer, maybe said it different ways, but you kind of have this time with your family, with your wife and your kids that you would have never had, but that will never get again, like ever, right? Regardless of what the future holds, whatever, like you'll never get this time back. So we've been, like all of you guys, just been soaking it up.
Yeah, Lance, you and Mike said it right. The best thing that's happened is I got to watch my kid catch her first fish 2 days ago. She's 6 years old, and that was awesome. And I was talking to Mike the other day about, we'd be sitting out in Atlanta for 40 out of 50 days, missing stuff, and just like Lance said, you're getting stuff on video. But like I got a 5-year-old and a 15-month-old, and you miss those first moments sometimes, right? And be honest with you, my wife's seen me more in 7 months than she's seen me in the last 7 years. So I be honest with you, I'm not mad at this at all. I'm actually pretty thankful for it. Just like Mike said, we all want to be out watching baseball or coaching or whatever it may be, but this has kind of been a blessing in disguise probably for a lot of us, just for our own the mental side of it for us, just because we always say we don't need a break, but sometimes a break's a blessing. So this has been pretty cool just to watch my kids run around and kids kind of be able to play with them a little bit. That's been the best thing for me, to be honest with you.
For sure. I figured out I'm a really bad Fortnite player. Really bad.
Who's playing Fortnite on this?
My son's 6, and he's on those sticks, and I'm just like, you want to play? And I'm just getting, it's not good. I'm a terrible Fortnite guy.
Anything else you guys want to talk about on here? Any message you want to get out, or other questions or anything that anybody has?
I just want to know how Saarloos makes his hair look that good.
I don't know. Just put some gel on it.
Genetics.
That's all I got, buddy.
How did you get it cut? That's what I want to know.
Well, see, that is interesting. So a friend of ours around the corner, their hairstylist does house calls.
What do they got? A 6 foot shear? I mean, how you get that done?
No doubt.
I went to Amazon and got the Flowbee actually, so all good.
That's great.
No, but I think the cool thing about this whole thing, obviously it sucks that we're not working. But like everybody else said, I think it's made us slow down, to be able to, have dinner with our family, be able to ride, teach your daughter how to ride a bike, or I think that is the one benefit of this. And so I think the biggest thing for me is going to be when we do go back to normal life, what are the important things? Because a lot of times when I get home, I'm still on my phone. And this has been awesome to not be on my phone, be present with my family. So I think the big challenge for all of us, and I think baseball and, just the U.S. in general, is what is the stuff that we're going to input back into our life, and what are we going to cut out? And that's the big thing I've been thinking about through this whole time is what's important. I think there's a lot of times that, we think baseball is it. It's the only thing. But sometimes a little perspective is good for us. So
same with the other side, right? We take baseball for granted too. So I
Yep.
think some players, they, now they have it taken away, they're going to really, opening day next year, hopefully it comes. I'm telling you what, that first anthem, man, it's going to be a special thing for all of us to be a part of that, man.
Awesome. Guys, well, I can't thank you enough. This has been a lot of fun on our end. A lot of good information there from all of you coaches, from your schools. Just kind of running through again. I mean, Creighton, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, TCU, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, and Oregon State. Again, can't thank you guys enough. I've had a lot of fun personally. Thanks for being on the show. And again, good luck to all of you guys going forward and in your next seasons.
Thank you, Jeff.
Stay safe. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you
you, fellas.
guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Be safe, guys. Thanks a
See you,
lot.
fellas.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Bang.